Hi everybody, my name's Susan and today I'm going to show you how to paint with pastels a realistic eye. This is my first video with sound, so please bear with me. I'll do my best and I hope that we succeed. Thank you. So the first thing I'm going to do is outline the eye, and everybody's different. Everybody has different methods of doing this. I like to start with the outline of black, and I use a black pastel crayon, or chalk as they like to call them. In the old days they used to be called crayons, and I'm just going to put in the black where the shadow is, right the way around the eye. And then what I'm going to do, I use one of these, and I'm not sure what they're called, but I call them my rubber, and I just blend everything in to give it that lovely soft look. That's just the start, gives you a base. What I love about using pastels is that they're very, very similar to using oil paints. You start from dark, and usually the rule of thumb is dark and then you put light on top of that. Completely different to watercolour, which of course you start with light and work through to dark. Now I'm just going to put a little bit more black in there. This is just my base. Again, I'm using lovely Faber-Castell pencils. I find them really soft. So okay, we've got that little bit in there, and now we're going to highlight the rest of the bottom of the eye here in black and around the eyeball. And now I'm going to use blue as my base. I like to use dark blue in here like that, just to highlight that, and a little bit here. And then I put a base colour on, and in this case I'm used to use blue. And again, I'm using the pastel chalks because in a larger area they give you a much more intense colour. That's just my opinion, but I find they work good for me. So we'll just put that base there, and that will shine through when we actually come to put more detail in. Using a slightly more turquoise blue in this one. So I've rubbed in that blue, and now I'm going to just edge this with a little bit of black and brown again, the eyeball, just to make sure that we really have that depth of colour behind, and it gives you the depth of shadow. And then one of the wonderful things about using pastels is that you can actually spread them around a bit without losing their vibrancy. What I like to use to help are just cotton buds, because cotton buds are great for holding the pastel, and they're cheap, and you can just throw them away when you're finished with them. Or you can reuse them, it's up to you. And I got a little bit of pastel on there from the blue, and I'm seeing areas of my eye. I can just move that pastel there. So you never really waste any of your pastel. And you just bring it into the eye. Now I've seen some darker areas. I'm just going to put some little darker blue on my eye. I'm just building up the colour now. It gives it that beautiful vibrancy. And when you look closely at an eye, it's not just blue or green. There are all sorts of tones of different colours. So I can see we got a bit of yellow in here as well. And when you touch the yellow onto the blue, it goes a sort of a, of course, blue and yellow make green on the colour scale. So we'll put a bit of blue and yellow there. And now I'm going to blend all that with my blender, just to push it in there. I'm using pastel matte, Clairefontaine pastel matte paper, which holds the pastel, and you can build loads of layers. It really holds it really, really well. So again, I'm going to pick up some more yellow here. And I see some turquoisey green. I'm going to add some green in there. You become instinctive with the colours, and every set of pastels names its colours differently. So you just have to use your photograph or whatever you're working from and try and colour match as best you can along the way. Again, now I've put those layers on, in fact what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my cotton bud to just spread it around. This is my method, this is the way I found it works for me, but you may find that other methods work better for you. And you can pull it along, pull that pastel in, pull it along and build up that beautiful layer, layer upon layer, to give you the vibrancy. Now up here where I am now, we need to make that dark, so I'm going to use a bit of grey here, like that, and I'm going to spread it in, just like that, just to give in the shadows. And we've got some more over this side. I think I'm going to do a little bit of black here, and that over there a bit more, and we have some here. I'm going to use my black chalk because the actual crayon itself, and I will call them crayons, is so soft that what you can do is to pull the pastel in, pull it onto the eye, just to soften the edges. I think we'll put a bit of brown in there, highlight that. And again, pull it in, shade it in, and flick it a little bit just to give that shape of the eyeball. This needs to be really heavy black now. And bringing it in, bring it in. I did this other part of this cat earlier because I thought that it gives an idea of the colours that I'm using, but both eyes are very similar but not the same. You've noticed that I've left the highlighted area just for the moment. I like to do that last. And I'm going to do that with a very pale blue. And then grey, because it's got to have colour. And I'll just pull the blue into it. And now I'm going to use a bit of coloured pencil, well not pastel pencil, just to give a few more tones into the blue around the eye to give it more depth. And then we're probably going to add a little bit of white here. That's my dog barking. I apologise for that. And I have this wonderful turquoise here which I want to add. So I'm adding this turquoise into the bottom of the eye here. And I'm also going to add some around into the centre. And above the highlighted area, just to take away the harshness of that black. And we're going to put a little bit here next to the pupil, spread it out a bit. And then some yellow. But all just building the layers up, layer upon layer. And you get beautiful tonal qualities, beautiful tonal qualities. And now I'm going to blend that in. Gently blend it in. So you don't get any harsh lines. You'll notice that I haven't used white at all yet. And I'm going to use some brown in here just to give it a bit of depth in the eye socket. Bring it round. And then smooth it in. And then soften the edge. Soften. And then in here, in this part of the socket, we're using brown. And I'm going for a creamy pink just around the top. Quite short part of the cat's fur. And what we need here is to just put some light in there like that. I like to try and soften my pictures. I don't like them to be absolutely perfect, because it's not a photograph, it's a drawing or a painting, but it isn't a photograph. Much more special, I think, than a photograph, because so much time is taken making these beautiful pictures. So this is a bit of cream just in the corner there. And now when I add this yellow on top of the blue, it's really bringing the blue to life. So now I'm going to take away some of this black on the bottom here with a little bit of light grey, just a hint, and it sets the eye back. Very carefully edging it in and then bringing it right the way across here. Because what we're trying to get here is this turn . If you break one of these chalks, you get a very fine edge. Now I'm just going to highlight this little bit now with the light shining. But I'm not using white yet. I'm using this very light grey. And I'm taking it over the eyeball, just very gently, just to highlight areas. And now let's rub that in. I've added a bit more dark blue to this area above the highlight. And there's some really light areas there as well, I've noticed. And I'm going to use a brown just here. See, I'm rubbing in the pastel and using it very much like an oil painting. You actually can, if you like, dig into it and make marks that way, which is quite interesting. What I want to do is to use some of this black, pull it up into the fur. So you don't get a hard edge. And then for my highlight, we go for the white. So now I'm going to add some more detail around the eye. And I'm just using a hard pastel pencil just to put these little hairs in here. It gives it a more realistic look. And I'll continue doing this until I get that completed. So now I've done a little bit more work on the fur above the eye. I'm just working a little bit more. This is a rag doll, and one side of her face is actually white and the other side is a tan brown. She's a pretty little cat. And this is how she looks. So I'm just putting in the detail around here, but I'm not looking for detail today because that's not as much as I would normally, because this tutorial is more about an eye rather than all the other bits and pieces. But I'll just do a little bit more here just to show you what I'm doing. We're moving the fur in the direction that the fur grows, but it doesn't have to be all that detailed. What you want to do is give an impression of the fur. As I say, this is not a photograph, but it's a pretty picture. I'm using cream now to go over that, just to bring a few highlights in. And I'm covering up the lashes that I've done in a very dark brown. And if you notice on this picture, I even have blue in the fur and red in the nose, and these colours you wouldn't really normally see, but they're there. And in fact, I'm going to put a bit of pink along here on the lower eyelid, just to highlight that a little bit. And then a little bit of white here. And a little bit of white highlight where the light's catching her fur, and on the top here. And then I'm going to blend that in with my blending stick. Using this, you lose very little pastel, because the pastel residue from the chalk that's left on the board can simply be absorbed by the board itself. So I'm just going to do one or two more little highlights, and then I think we're finished. So I'm looking at the eye, and I think we need to have highlight there, a little bit of white. Just finishing touches, but you don't really want to overwork it. And one last little highlight. A few little dots in there just to show the little hairs that are growing. And a little bit of grey in here. To take the tone down a little bit, that blue. And there we're complete. I hope you've enjoyed it. And for a first attempt, we'll see how it goes, but please leave some feedback for me. I'm hoping the next one will be better, but please, thank you very much for watching.